Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode we're going to be looking at the recent trade between the Seattle Seahawks and New York Jets. According to multiple sources, this just went down, and according to the Seattle Seahawks' own Twitter page, they stated, "We have traded Jermaine Kearse and 2018 draft picks to the New York Jets for defensive tackle Sheldon Richardson and a 2018 seventh rounder." So I figured I would do an analytics review of the trade. I don't know what the Seattle Seahawks are going to give the New York Jets in return for Sheldon Richardson. I do know that the Seahawks are going to get a seventh rounder from the Jets. That's what we know right now. But without that knowledge, I can't really say 100% if this is a good or bad trade. But what I can do is I can just look at the data that is here. So we're going to look at all of the data, all the trends when it comes to both of these players, the players specifically, Sheldon Richardson and Jermaine Kearse, and come to some conclusion about who won this trade. And I think to start out with the meatiest of meat in this trade, we have to start out with Sheldon Richardson. Based on his production data coming out of college at Missouri, he had a 94.79 solo tackle market share score, 82.89 sack market share score, and 73.11 tackle for loss market share score. Based on this data, which goes back to the 1989 NFL draft class, that's where these thresholds were created, he pretty much hits every single threshold that you're looking for when it comes to a multiple All-Pro to multiple Pro Bowl type defensive tackle since 1989. And then when you get to his actual athleticism data, he had an 87.46 explosive lower body strength score, 75.84 speed score, and 84.93 flexibility score based on our athleticism testing at the combine. And when it comes to this also, he pretty much hits every single threshold when it comes to multiple All-Pro to multiple Pro Bowl athleticism. And again, these are minimum thresholds, so multiple All-Pro types had at least this much explosiveness, at least this much speed, at least this much flexibility, and as you can clearly see, Sheldon Richardson pretty much hits every single athleticism trait out of the park. And then when you actually get to his NFL production, this is where things get a little more interesting because he's been a highly impactful player, even in the years where he missed games. You know, he only played 11 games in 2015. He was still incredibly impactful when it comes to market share data. And again, this is market share data at the NFL level, and as you can clearly see, he's been a 90-plus percentile total impact guy since he's entered the NFL. And of course, his Pro Bowl season with a 94.95 score in 2014. But again, even the seasons where he missed games, he missed 5 games in 2015, and he still put up an 87.69 total impact score. And to just put this into perspective, scoring a 90 in a total impact score is like a top 10 to top 15 defensive tackle performance. And then, of course, 87.69 is like a top 20 defensive tackle performance. So even when he missed 5 football games, he was still a highly impactful defensive tackle in terms of his overall market share impact. So he's obviously the win in this trade. I mean, we'll get to Jermaine Kearse, but the bottom line is this. I mean, sure, he's a character guy. Sure, there's lots of character stuff off the field with him, but as you can clearly see, his character hasn't exactly affected his play 100%. I mean, sure, he's definitely had his fair share of things here and there, but he's always been an impactful player despite all the sort of stuff about, well, he's a character guy. So I just think, you know, if you're going to bank on a character guy, bank on the ones that are productive, and Sheldon Richardson is definitely that. And then you get to Jermaine Kearse. Kearse is one of those guys who hasn't quite fit into the mold of the NFL. He had a 91.84 passing yards market share production score, which pretty much hits all the production marks that you're looking for at the wide receiver position since 1969. And then when you look at his athleticism testing, he had a 42.46 explosive lower body strength score, 59.67 speed score, and 63.67 flexibility score. Very similar profile to like Antonio Brown in that he's not the most athletic guy ever. I mean, you can just see it here. I mean, he's not super duper athletic, but he does have some above average athleticism traits, and he does have really good production coming out of college. But that hasn't really translated to NFL success when it comes to production. If you just look at his production right here, MSPY is market share, passing yardage market share production score compared to peers in the NFL. MSY is total offensive market share compared to peers. And as you can clearly see, doesn't even compare. Basically he's not had an 80 percentile finish or a 90 percentile finish when it comes to MSPY, which is just basically market share data, and hasn't really had a total offensive yardage season. So basically he's never been a top 10 wide receiver. He's never been a top 20 wide receiver. He's never even been a top 50 wide receiver when it comes to production data. And realistically, he's kind of been he's had some seasons where he was teetering on being a top 100 guy. Despite his production in college, because again, high impactful market share data guy in college. Not the best athlete, but above average athleticism traits. So it's just kind of a wonder, like, okay, when is the light going to turn on? And it just never turned on. And as much as the Jets may be banking on that, maybe they might be banking on the fact that maybe the Seahawks weren't the best fit for Kearse. I mean, I really don't know. But as I always try to tell people, when the facts change, I change my mind. And sure, the facts at the time with Kearse was that this was a guy with the potential to be a highly impactful NFL wide receiver, or at least a starter at the very least, and he has been a starter. It's just that he hasn't exactly turned into the multiple all-pro type, which was his ultimate potential based on his overall data traits. And because he hasn't been able to meet that potential in over 5 seasons right now, I just don't think he'll ever meet that potential. So ultimately, I just think he's a complimentary wide receiver. He's barely a top 100 wide receiver based on production, and you traded him to the Jets, and the Seahawks got Sheldon Richardson in return. So obviously the Seahawks won this trade. Now, again, I don't know the draft picks involved. I don't really know what Seattle is going to give the Jets yet, but just looking at the players that are involved in this trade, Sheldon Richardson is a multiple All-Pro to multiple Pro Bowl potential defensive tackle who honestly should have been in other Pro Bowls, but was on a bad team, in 2013 and in 2016 based on his production. And then you have a guy in Jermaine Kearse who just hasn't really met that match. Like, if you just go impact for impact at the wide receiver position, impact at the defensive tackle position, Sheldon Richardson has been significantly more impactful, even despite all the character stuff, even despite missing 5 games. He's still a highly impactful defensive tackle, and that is why, to me, the Seattle Seahawks pretty much won this trade, unless they gave like a crazy draft pick, which that hasn't been reported yet. So again, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.